Welcome back to another edition of Talk Nerdy to Me. Jack Lutz with...
Him or me?
You!
Troy Stegner.
You! With us. You introduce... No, I'll introduce him.
Same thing?
Brett Booth. You know his work from The Flash. You know his work. He's right now one of DC's favorite sons. One of their favorite kids.
You got way more energy than I do.
I know. Did you like that? No, before the camera went on,
he's just like a slug and a sloth in the corner.
He's got an on-off switch.
Now, how you doing, man? Thank you for doing this.
No problem.
Yes, definitely. Thank
welcome to the beautiful Indigo Hotel.
Hotel Indigo, downtown El Paso.
Yeah, welcome to the correct 5th floor, I guess.
Yes.
Did you get lost? What happened?
Well, there's another 5th floor.
There's another
if you park in the parking garage, you go left to get into apparently this area. I went right because there's a sliding door right there.
Okay.
And there's also an elevator right there. So I went up the 5th floor and there's like nothing there but doors.
Entrance to another dimension.
And some sort of like it was some sort of weird like meditation room thing. I was like, what the hell is this?
And Troy was bugging out. He's going, is he at the right hotel? Where is it? He thought this other dude was you. And I'm like,
when you asked me about that, I was about to take a picture of the front of it.
Yeah, and this is what the whole interview is going to be, by the way. You think we're going to talk comic books? No,
why would we do that?
It's not going to be it at all. I really want this to be, kind of in depth, and I want to go back to the beginning. I want to really go back to your roots and how you got into how you got, into the books, where your love of comics began. Tell me about what Charles Knight meant to you and that dinosaur book at first.
Oh, the first one. Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, when I was
way back. Maybe.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I didn't read real well, and we had a library class in like first grade or something like that. And so I looked at all the books, and none of them really interested me. And then I saw this Charles Knight pencil drawing book of dinosaurs, and I just kept checking the same book out. Like every single time.
What was it about that book?
I don't know. It was just like there's a specific shot of this Ornitholestes catching an Archaeopteryx, or it's like leaping in the air catching it, and the image just like mesmerized me. And I like tried drawing it, and I've always like drawn. My family is somewhat artistic, so it's just basically. I lived in Pennsylvania, so in the wintertime, you can't do anything. You're pretty much stuck inside. So after school, you come home and you draw or you watch cartoons or whatever it was. So that's what I did. And from that point, I was like, that really got me into paleontology for a while. And I was planning on doing that for a long time until I was like ninth grade.
History
high
class?
School. No, well, actually, that was part of it too. With we weren't. Can't teach evolution in schools. But
did you go to Catholic school?
No, it was a regular public school.
Oh, okay.
But it was the 80s, 70s, and 80s.
Old guys like us, that's what happened.
Yeah, they just didn't talk about it at all. Until like a high school biology class, you had like one day of it.
Okay.
But this was a history class, and it was like the first week of school. And the teacher showed us like 5 days worth of all these specials on human evolution. It was just like from finding, Australopithecines to Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, all this stuff. And I just like really like kind of got that going. At the same time, I had just moved to a new area. And then I didn't have any like friends in that area, but it was the same school. So one of the kids that I was paired up with, Steve, he's a huge comic fan. And I went up with 2 study halls. In 7 classes, I went up with 2 study halls, and one of them was an hour and a half because it was like during the lunch period. And I'd finished all my work. I was like, dude, give me something to do. And he's like, here, draw this. And he hands me the cover of Classic X-Men #1.
Okay.
And the Wolverine's on it with the whole X-Men. It's Art Adams piece. And I was like, oh, this is just awesome. Yeah. And I just started drawing it. And then from that point on, Steve was a huge comic fan. He actually just lived like a couple streets down. So we started hanging out, and he got me into X-Men, X-Factor. Tried to get me into the Teen Titans. It didn't work. Legion of Superheroes also didn't work. But like the X-Men, and he had the Flash. And so I started reading the Flash and then Justice League International. And I got hooked, and I was like, because he was also an artist, and we would just sit there and draw. And I think like about 2 months into that, I decided, okay, I need to start drawing my own stuff. And I started drawing, it was like a 16-page X-Factor story. So, not just copying images, actually trying to draw this stuff. And then it's like basically what I wanted to do from that point on. It's all I wanted to do. It's all I did in school. My grades dropped.
So this must have been when you were around 13, and you mentioned Art Adams.
Yeah.
And was he still really that one guy that you... a lot of people... This is pretty hush-hush, but they say, copying work. Was he really...
Initially. You start off like, not tracing, but copying the images. That's how you learn a lot of the styles and stuff. Which is the problem now, is if someone says, here, draw this guy, and they show me a costume, I'll sometimes incorporate some of the rendering or something that artist has done, because I was like, okay, I guess I'm looking at this because I'm starting to pull some stuff. Right? That's how you learn how to do all this stuff. And so Art Adams was like my god, and then I got introduced to John Byrne and Walter Simonson, Jackson Geiss. I think they call him something else now, Bruce or something. I can't remember what his first name is. Never met him. And Kevin McGuire. And I remember when Jim Lee came along. He's like one of my biggest influences now. And I remember his Alpha Flight stuff. And it was funny because he did an issue of X-Men. Right? My first issue of X-Men that I ever bought, Mark Silvestri drew. It's his first issue. So it's like I really started liking that, and it had an Art Adams cover with Longshot and Psylocke and Dazzler. That's why I picked it up. So.
Dazzler? Yeah.
No, because of Dazzler. Because of the Art Adams.
That's our common ground right there. Go on.
But yeah, it was so that kind of I just really got into the comics at that point, and it became just the drawing and trying to figure all this stuff out. I got the How to Draw Comics to Marvel way, which is still like one of the best books for drawing comics.
Oh, the Stanley book.
Stanley with John Buscema, and there's a lot of Kirby stuff in that too.
The video to that is really great too. It's so cheesy, awesome.
But way before that, just the book.
But they did the video to that. It's so great. If you've never seen that, please check that out. The book and the video. Your work is very unique. When I first caught on to you, it was with the Flash, and I remember nobody was doing your style. When did you finally really hone your skill? When did you find your own? Well, that was find your own style.
I got hired by Wildstorm, which is Jim Lee's image company. Yeah. It wasn't called that initially, but in '93. That's where I started working, and so I had Jim there, and Will Spartasio was there, and Mark Silvestri was there. Scott Williams was there, so they could just go talk. And Scott Campbell came in a little bit later. So it was just basically, kind of like a hodgepodge, and you could go talk to people. Willis was actually really good, and you could go watch Mark Silvestri work. And Jim would come out and critique stuff.
What was the initial feeling meeting all those guys? Getting together with them all at first.
It's great at first, and Willis is still like probably the nicest guy on the planet. And Mark's really nice, and so is Jim and Brandon Troy and Scott Williams. They're all great guys.
I was gonna say about Jim, it's his boss.
But you do wind up with butting heads occasionally on certain things, and now it's more like kind of
at the time
joke about it more than anything now.
At the time too, did you welcome any critique, awesome as possible?
Well, you always want to have this stuff is awesome. But I learned by observing. Mm-hmm. So Jim would sit down in they call it the pit with all of us. And we'd all be working, and then we'd all stop working and watch Jim, because he'd just like whip through a page, and it seems so effortless.
When you say whip through a page, I mean we're talking how long?
Well, I mean I'm not saying like time wise. It was just there's when you draw the stuff, you kind of get into if
you're in a zone, you gotta be,
and it's just like it's almost like. It's not quite like that, but there's that scene in the iRobot movie when the robot draws the drawing, and it's just like this automatic thing, and it's just like your jaw is dropping because you've been struggling drawing this figure for fucking 3 hours, and the layout's not working right, and Jim just and you're like, seriously, come on.
But you mentioned layouts, and you mentioned you put a great reference there with iRobot. Just you're throwing it down, and you're in that zone. When you have an idea in your head, do you have to have like maybe a photo reference, or do you have an idea in your head? This is how it's going to look when the Flash is running, or when a punch is being thrown.
I just draw that.
You just put it in.
Yeah, it's automatic.
It's just in there.
All from memory.
Well, I know what it is, and I was like, okay, I've drawn this. I'll start laying something out, and like I've drawn this before. Mm-hmm. Erase that, and then I was like, okay, well, this is. You can do things like there's so many ways to draw a layout of page, and so you can do it the regular way. And then I always look at it as like, well, what's pushing it a little bit? How can you change the angle, rotate it? This is the simplest thing. Take a static image, turn it slightly. It's all you have to do to add drama. The freaking Batman 66 show was the masters at that. And it works. It so works.
So on the side of a building, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little keel, a little kink to something, and it totally adds this drama to it.
Yeah.
And so I started messing around with the panel layouts on the Flash to try to kind of keep some sort of motion and stuff. So I started, someone had whined and complained, because there's a Z pattern that you usually draw when you draw a page layout, so to get the eye to follow the Z or 2, whatever you want to call it. And someone was complaining, because there's always someone who complains about, couldn't make any heads or tails out of the panel. So I just said, okay, I'm going to make this as simple as freaking possible, and I am literally going to just lay them out one on another on an arc. And then if it gets crazy, if it's like really chaotic, then I'll like stagger them in the Z. I'll actually draw the panels in the Z thing on the page. And someone still complains, like, hey, you're just not smart enough to read comics. Please stop.
Oh my god. Okay, I gotta know now, because I'm going further into the rabbit hole here. You're talking about you don't understand comics. I wanted to go into real quick, and I know Troy's got a bunch of questions. The artist-writer relationship. Whenever you get instructions or whenever you get ideas tossed back to you, I can imagine that there's certain times in your career, sometimes a writer can be really easy to understand. Sometimes I guess they can be a little harder to get.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, when I first started working, I brought a friend in, Sean Ruffner. He wrote a bunch of like the early Backlash and Wall, of course, with me, Kindreds. So we were friends before that, from college. So we'd known each other. We'd actually just have dinner. We'd get together. We'd actually plot out the book on the boards, and then we'd go back in later and write the script for it. It's the Marvel technique.
Draw first, right?
You draw it first.
Draw first, right? Well,
honestly,
the image technique too.
The artwork.
Well, the image people are from Marvel, so
There you go. Okay.
that's where it's from.
That's another episode. Now, for me, the artwork tells just as much a story as the words do.
So if you work out, I think if you do it that way, then you can at least visually see the way the story is going. Mm-hmm. And that's just it was the way we did it at Wildstorm. They don't do that now. Now it's kind of funny if you tell an editor one thing, that will be the only thing they ever remember. Mm-hmm. So I told one of my editors, he's like, well, how do you like to work? And I was like, well, I kind of like having some script, some dialogue, so I can, if the characters are talking, I can kind of move their mouths so that, like I know what they're saying a bit. I don't need all the dialogue, just snippets. So they got it in his mind, okay, I guess I have full script every single time. So I was like, even when I'm like waiting for script, it's like, just send me like the basic layout. It's like, when I did Fantastic Four with Jim, I mean, literally, I would get like a paragraph for an entire issue. So, because Jim was busy doing other stuff, so I would basically...
You'd run with it.
Just run with it and have fun. Okay, well, I would basically... Okay, this sentence is like these first 6 pages, and then this sentence...
That must have been daunting at first. Like, what do you want? But then...
because I had written stuff before, it wasn't that big a deal. It's like, I've been doing this like 22, 23, I have no idea how many years it was. 23 years, I think, now, for the most part. And so now it's like much more stringent, and here's the script, you have to draw the script. Although I will say that Dan Abnett, who's working with me on the Titans Rebirth book, basically just doesn't say anything when I turn in pages. He's like, oh, that looks great.
There was some foreshadowing. You heard the Titans Rebirth book.
Do you want to get to that now? Do you want to get to the...
Actually, I'd like to ask if we're ever going to see Backlash again.
Maybe?
Because he just kind of disappears from everywhere except your Wikipedia page.
Oh, because of... I think they actually had wanted to put him in one of the new books, like the new 52 ones. And they had asked me about it. I was like, I don't really want to... Specifically that book, because it's like, if I ever wanted to go back to the character, I didn't want... Because he was so tied in with the Team 7 and the Caribou and all the stuff at Wildstorm, I kind of wanted to break him away from some of the stuff a little bit so that he wasn't so...
So he is your fully owned character?
No, well, DC owns him. It's co-created. It's basically like Wolverine or something.
Right.
So they make a movie. So I have kind of hinted at trying to get him back because they are making movies now and television shows.
Yes. They'll throw you in as
His daughter's
cameo.
a speedster. Flash television show.
They'll give you a little cameo in the TV show or the movie.
Why not?
They'll give you that little Liefeld, hey, you're in the bar for a second.
They've been doing great at bringing back lesser-known characters. Guardians of the Galaxy. Who knew those guys before the movie?
That's huge now.
No one.
The sequel. Yeah, sure.
So characters like that didn't get a lot of exposure or press, I guess you would say.
Well, it's funny because it's like the first issue of Backlash sold 151,000 copies, which is like fantastic for now.
Right.
But at the time, it was like it was okay. It was outselling other Image books, but it wasn't like Gen 13. But,
It was a slow start, I think, don't you think? As far as Gen 13 is concerned?
well, all of them kind of slow.
Yeah.
Like we did a book called Backlash started in Stormwatch, and then he went to this Kindred book, and it's kind of funny. This little Image thing. Jim came back and said, "Okay, we just had the Image meeting. Anything that sells less than 175,000 copies gets canceled." And then the next month, all the books came in under 175,000 copies. All the new ones, Gen 13, Kindred, everything, Stormwatch, everything came in under. So they had to like rethink stuff because they were just basically at that time it was just making money on these books. The problem is when you ship them late, the returns. The printers cost way more because you're holding the printer. So some of these books can cost like $80,000 just to print.
Absolutely. This is a two-parter here, and you mentioned your experience, the number of years that you've been in the business. Is there a character right now that just really, a character, just this itch that you have to scratch, that you haven't drawn, or how can I put this, that you would like to draw for a monthly title? And is there a specific part of comics, is there a scope in the comic world that you haven't touched yet that you would like to get to, that you would like to really concentrate on?
Scope as in?
Aside from drawing or maybe writing.
I have some creator on stuff that I would like to do at some point. Trying to figure out, okay, if I draw this monthly book, how much time do I have to actually work on this creator on stuff? And how much time is none. Because it's basically I'm drawing whenever I'm home. I get up around 9-10 o'clock in the morning. Seems
Lucky.
great. Yeah, it seems great. I start working at 11.
What time do you go to bed? What time do you?
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm working pretty much all the way up till like midnight at least. And then and I got to pill the dogs and feed the dogs. So,
as far as a character that you really wanted to draw,
Wally West. Like I would love to do a Wally West series. I've been trying to get one of those for years. Dan hates me, so he won't give me a Wally West.
I always liked Wally. I mean, I thought he was a great Flash.
Popular Flash. A lot of people have been calling for him.
Well, when I started reading comics, Crisis had just ended. Barry was dead.
And Wally just picked it up.
So I read Wally from the very beginning.
When he was Kid Flash, and then...
I went back. My friend had all those Teen Titans books, and I read the Teen Titans till he left them. And then I stopped reading.
There's something about Wally that separates him from Barry. It's the personality.
Yeah, it's fun. Barry's kind of...
Barry was always the straight shooter.
He's like too much like Clark Kent.
More scientific based.
Which is great for the television show.
I was going to ask, what do you think about the television?
Oh, I love the show.
Yeah.
They put some of Wally's stuff in there, so Barry isn't quite as stuffy as he was in the comic.
Now, would this be Wally along with Barry too, or just solo?
I would love
Wally
to do
stuff?
that. I'd love to do something with the speedsters. They're my favorite characters.
I mean, I'd like to see them really. Would you think that it's impossible, really, for them to coexist with their own titles, with their own?
Maybe. I had this discussion with DC several times. They don't think that there's enough to support for two Flash books.
If it works with Green
Even
Lantern,
when Mark Waid was drawing it,
Sure.
was writing it, it was only selling 40,000 copies.
But I mean, if it works with
In
Green
the
Lantern,
90s.
right. I mean, picture this though: if it works with Green Lantern, you have the book Green Lantern, and then you have Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it work with Flash? And you have, like you said, the speedsters.
Yeah. Well,
Don't you think that'd be cool?
I've pitched it like 10 times.
Oh man! I'm thinking that I got this idea in my head, and you're like, "No, I've done this."
It's nothing I haven't tried to do multiple times.
Yeah, but that would be a good argument. If it works for Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps, come on, it could work
that's the
with...
thing. It's like certain characters, like Wonder Woman, she has her own book, but Aquaman did not work that way. Aquaman and the Outsiders, that didn't do good. It kind of just depends on the marketplace. Even though the Flash
and timing,
it is, and the creative team is like, to get that lightning in the bottle, no pun intended. You just kind of have to hit the right, like Batman New 52 with Capullo and Snyder, lightning in a ball. That hit, and it's a rare thing.
Your Flash hit. I don't mean to just blow smoke.
It did okay. We got the sales up. So the sales were dying, and we got them back up to where they were selling, 40, 50,000 copies one year.
Why can't we have both Flashes in one Flash book?
That's what I'm saying.
Instead of
well, you're going to have that. You're going to have Wally. Apparently, he's in the Rebirth stuff.
I was wondering when we were going to get to spoilers. I was wondering when we were going to get to
the first time I saw that image was today, so I don't really
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, the shadowed figure that they zoomed in different portions of?
Yeah. I knew it was the speedster from the pose, but I didn't know which one it was. They gave Wally the yellow and red costume.
They just rattled me. He totally rattled me.
Because you haven't really seen anything of Rebirth yet.
I was telling Brett.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
I was telling him. And this is the one thing I was trying to tell Brett. I want to be surprised. That was the big.
That'll
thing.
be in the Flash book.
Okay.
There were a few surprises I saw when I watched part of the WonderCon live stream. They announced today.
The big question is, what are you going to be drawing? What are you going to be doing? What can you say?
The Titans. I'm doing the Titans, the original Titans. Dick Grayson, Don Troy, Roy Harper, Garth. I don't know what his last name is.
Cyborg.
No. Lilith Clay. The original ones.
Okay.
New Teen Titans. They're not the Teen Titans. They're the Titans.
Okay.
So we're picking off where Titans Hunt kind of left off, adding some new things. There'll be some other characters.
So they took Flash away from you?
What, the series? I left the series at 47.
How dare they? I thought you were going to come back after. I was
hoping.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what a lot of people were asking. Is Brett going to come back?
I talked to them about that. They had originally offered me Aquaman.
And I saw some of your Aquaman.
Okay, what did you think, though? What did you think?
Dan is the same writer, Dan Abnett. So I really like his writing. The problem is this caster driving me up the wall. It's so tedious. So I feel bad for all the Aquaman artists. But I was going to do it, and then I thought I was actually on the book till like February, and then I emailed Brian Cunningham, the editor on the Aquaman book, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were doing that. I thought you said no to that." I was like, "No, I thought we were doing this other thing, and to get this other thing, I would do this the Aquaman thing off." And he's like, No, you already got someone else. He's like, you better call Dan. So I emailed Dan, and Dan's like, I'm in New York right now. He's like, but no, we have this other project I thought you'd like better. And then he offered me the Titans thing there.
The Titans is not a bad title, though. That's, of course, especially with the original cast.
I bought the bulk of Titans from your store.
No, I get to draw. I'm a huge Nightwing fan, so I get to draw Nightwing. I get to draw Don Troy.
That's right, because he's coming back. Grayson's going to be Nightwing again.
Yeah. When I first came to DC, I did Justice League of America, and Dick Grayson and Don Troy were the two main characters in that. So it's kind of like, full circle.
This is old Titans. This is original.
Yeah, the original comics, not the new Teen Titans stuff. So.
Okay, and this is going to be showing Robin again, of course.
Yeah, and Dick Grayson is Nightwing. Donna Troy, I don't know if I should mention the name that we have a temporary name for.
There's a new character?
No, Donna Troy.
Oh, Donna Troy.
Oh, okay. We're not just calling her Donna Troy.
Yeah, she's got a new title.
A name, yeah. And then Aqualad, who I think is Tempest, Arsenal,
Little Speedy's
Clay
gonna be back
as Omen. And then there'll be one or two other ones that'll pop up later on.
How exciting is that, though? I mean, to go to, going to the Flash now, doing a group, to do a team.
Well, a different dynamic.
It is.
It's got to be.
The teams are way more work than single character books. They just are. They've done like the Titans and Justice League and some other Fantastic Four and some other X-Men. And it's a very, you need to learn the tricks to be able to do it even, relatively on time.
The George. Oh, okay. I was going to talk. I thought you were talking about like everybody that was on the page or everybody that.
Well, there's ways to kind of you got to crop certain things to create depth because you're not just playing with like one or two characters, you're playing with like 8.
Is there ever that feeling of neglect for a certain character when you're doing a team?
If someone I don't like, they're in the back.
You put it back. That does happen. Huh?
I like Aqualad though.
He's actually Silver City. It's his origin.
Aqualad, Silver City,
New Mexico.
Really? Okay, you actually
wrong, I'm editing it.
You actually just kind of got me there.
I'm pretty sure his origin was Silver City.
Yeah, but is it the same Silver City?
Silver City, New Mexico.
There's probably other Silver Cities because it's fairly common name.
But if it's wrong, it won't be.
Okay, we're keeping that in. We're keeping that in. Okay, but yeah, you mentioned, and what about the direction too? From again, the writing to the artist part. Like, oh man, I don't know if you got so many people on the team. How can I do this? And you mentioned crop work, and that's got to be the ping pong.
It's kind of old hat now. I'm used to doing it, so it's not a big deal for me. But I know I've talked to some other artists. They're like, how the hell do you do this? And it's just like you got to learn how to. The characters that are talking should always be in the foreground, and then you can always have someone in the background doing something. And it really depends on the writer that you're working with. When I work with Scott Lobdell on the Titans, initially the Teen Titans, not these Titans. I started figuring out how to draw his scripts, and another artist came up and asked me the same question. It's like, how do you do this? It's like it took me like 4 issues to figure out that the Scott kind of does things more like like storybook. It's not as much storytelling. So what I started doing is I started incorporating in the background elements for the next panel just to kind of get it to flow a little better.
And one of the big questions that we get, one of the big comments that we've gotten here regarding DC Rebirth. Again, people said, I'd love to hear it coming from you. I'd love to hear it coming from you. People immediately, they're thinking and they're assuming, another reboot, another rebirth. Is the character going to be different now?
It's not a reboot.
Okay.
And Didio said so.
No, we're continuing stories that were going on. I think Jeff is adding some other elements. I think I don't know exactly what it is because I have not read the 80-page story. But they're adding some things from the old universe or some stuff that they thought that this new one isn't quite gelling as well, so they're going to add a couple things in here or there. But the universe is still going forward. It's not going back.
How much do you know about his plan for Rebirth?
I know Titans Rebirth 1.
Because he said there's going to be something shocking in that 80-page Rebirth one-shot. The DC is going to be very controversial, the most controversial thing
I don't know what
DC
that is.
has ever printed. That's from his
I don't know what
podcast.
that is.
And have you seen the cover for that one?
No.
With all of them and Superman reaching up and all you see is one.
Oh, the hand coming out. Yeah, I saw that a while ago.
Who's the hand?
Who's the hand? Come on.
Who's
Who
hand?
was it?
I think I know who it is, but I'm not going to say.
Who's your guess?
Well, obviously,
To throw people off.
Okay, I'll throw people off. Someone from the Justice Society.
It's going to be Alan Scott.
So I'm gonna.
No, it won't be on. If you look at it's a gloved hands and it has the split.
It's a glove. Yeah.
So what? Liberty Bell.
I'm just gonna.
I'm really bad.
It's going to be Al Pratt.
We're gonna do a
It's going
voiceover
to
of him
be-
saying it's Wally West.
It's Wally. Liberty Bell would be crazy. That would be.
I'm trying to think of who else is in the original Justice Society that has that kind of glove. So that's.
So they don't want that information out, basically.
There are definite secrets still to come.
Man.
I got a couple good ones, but I can't talk about those. But I don't know.
The disclosure clause.
I have my guess.
With this
I have my guess who that is, and it might tie into some of the stuff that I know. But honestly, I don't know for a fact who that is.
Simple, broad question here. How exciting really is it right now to just be in comics and to be involved with DC in 2016?
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes really frustrating. I mean, what is it? I was at Wednesday night. I got an email. We want you to rethink this costume design. I was like, are you kidding me? Because I was almost finished. I was just about finishing the page, and I was just drawing that character on the page. And I was like, shit.
Are there any characters in Titans that are on a TV show or movie already? Because I know they want the comics, the characters to look more like the TV show.
I think they're using the Wonder Woman costume from the movie. I think
I
is what I
think so.
saw, which is awesome because I love that.
And the new Green Arrow looks an awful lot like Stephen Amell. The sketches I've seen.
I've only seen a few things here and there because I was actually traveling the entire time. I'm getting it was funny. I was like looking at my phone and I was like, two mentions on the Twitter feed, and then I 5 minutes later it's like blah, 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 and I was like, oh crap, they must have announced it.
I was really, I was like Jack when I heard the Rebirth. I was really skeptical. I wasn't. I was talking bad about DC because you had New 52.
You say you're a Marvel guy. You're a Marvel guy. You've always said it.
Followed by Convergence.
The Convergence was just basically to publish something for 2 months while they moved everybody.
Yeah, that's it.
But dang, go keep it at 100. Wow.
No, that's what it was. Yeah, it's like I had actually been asked to draw 3 of those books.
But when I watched the WonderCon live stream, I found myself actually getting excited. Some of the characters they mentioned they were bringing back,
Oh yeah,
Cassandra Cain.
Sure.
Is coming back.
No, they're trying to bring back a bunch of the old favorites.
Yeah, and every time they mention something, I mean, my wife was sitting across from me. I had the headphones on. I kept gasping, and she thought I was, having a heart attack. So she had to come over and check, and I showed her. She's like, "Oh,
she would beat your ass if you had a heart attack." I could see her doing CPR, like hitting your chest. Knock it off! Knock it off!
Stop it!
This, by the way, this edition of Talk Nerdy to me right now is being filmed the opening weekend of Batman vs. Superman. And right now, I want to talk to Brett Booth, the fan here. You mentioned that you just got done watching.
I literally just got, right before I got here, I had just seen the movie.
It smelled popcorn on you still, man. Okay, what did you think of the film? Because
I loved it.
The critics were wrong.
The critics, I think most of the critics seem to have, they hated the movie before it even came out.
And they're putting that idea into so many people's heads.
They are and they're not. I think I'm seeing a lot of the fans who went, because it was pretty busy when I went.
Right,
I went on a matinee at 1 o'clock.
It's made so far about $180 million.
Okay.
And it's on pace to break even at least. But I don't understand, where this hate is coming from. I'm going to tell you right now, I have not seen it yet. And you enjoyed it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
is there a bias though, being
I think part of
DC?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, I like some of the Marvel movies just a lot too. Some of them I don't like as much. It kind of just depends.
But this one is probably. I'm not sure if Man of Steel is my favorite movie of all time, and I know a lot of people don't like the Man of Steel movie, but I love it because I think Zack Snyder is a beautiful visual storyteller. And there's so much of the story is told visually, and I think a lot of people just kind of missed it. That, and of course, they want Superman to always be this giant boy scout, and I don't think you should ever take all the possibilities off the table. And they might not agree with the ending of it, but it was powerful. With Batman vs. Superman.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I even though Mark Waid and Kevin McGuire ruined that for me on Twitter, which is why I muted half my Twitter feed. The people I follow, I was like, if you're a comic book professional, you're getting muted for 2 or 3 days while this goes on.
And what is it that you're looking forward to, whether it be film or whether it be comics themselves?
Right now, the Justice League movie.
You're looking forward to Justice League?
I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad, the X-Men movie this summer, Doctor Strange. Because I'm not a big fan of Doctor Strange. I'm kind of interested. I'm curious. Ant-Man was freaking awesome.
A lot of people didn't think, come on, Paul Rudd, Ant-Man.
Well, I like Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
And I liked all the rest of the cast. But I was never an Ant-Man fan at all.
But this was great. Yeah.
But it was a great movie. Yeah. So it's don't. Try to just kind of go in and just enjoy the movie experience. If it's a good movie, like Ant-Man,
or like Superman versus Batman.
Batman versus Superman. Avengers 2, I liked that until the very end. I went back and watched it the other day, and I was like, it's actually, there's a lot of cool banter and fun. It's not as good as Avengers 1, but then the ending was kind of anticlimactic. It was just kind of I've seen all this before. And at the end of Batman Superman, there's going to be shit you've never seen before. It was badass.
Awesome. It's good to hear, you say that not only as an artist, but
it does take a little bit of time to pick up. It's a little slow. It's definitely more of a thinker movie.
Okay.
At first, and then once the action starts, it's just
so happy to hear you say that. Very happy.
Yeah.
And then no one's paying me to say that.
I was really scared for the couple weeks before the movie came out that it was going to bomb.
Well, someone's like, "Oh, why do you care?" And he's like, because I want them to make more movies.
Yeah, you want to see more. Justice League. You want to see Justice League happen?
I want to see Justice League happen. I want to see The Flash. I want to see Cyborg. I want to see all these other movies.
Did those characters make a cameo?
Yes.
In the movie? So cameo.
I know.
That's been for 3 years now.
And Jason Momoa doesn't talk. So
there's a small cameo of him. There's a small cameo of Cyborg and a small cameo of The Flash. He has 2 small cameos.
Let's watch this movie right now.
But Wonder Woman, awesome.
Gal Gadot, she pulled it off.
Oh, yes, she totally did.
So they're and they said they're going to start drawing these guys more like their movie and
I noticed they made some notice on the Superman the Rebirth stuff and Wonder Woman apparently. I love that costume, so I'm like,
even with Harley Quinn, they're moving more toward making them look like the actor. She looks a lot more like Margot in the new issues.
Well, it'll just be basically the costumes.
Yeah.
It's hard to get likeness unless you're really good at that and do it quickly.
I see your notes on your lap. He's got these notes sitting on his lap.
They're all right here.
What else did you want to ask him, man? What else?
I'm not sure if you know, but I was just some of the other new titles coming out. Like there's going to be a female. I don't know if you want to call her a Green Lantern because she doesn't really have a Green Lantern ring. It's a power ring. But Jessica Cruz,
that's what they're calling.
Well, Jessica Cruz is not. The power ring is different from the Green Lantern ring.
Isn't not the power ring that was in the Earth 3
Earth
characters, the
9,000,
criminal guys,
12.
the bad guys. What was it?
Yeah, the Crime Syndicate.
She's got power rings, power ring. Is that what you're saying?
Right. She has power rings, power ring, but they're calling her the next Green Lantern. And she's the pictures I saw and the DC ads. She actually had the Green Lantern symbol, and she has the thing over her eye. So I'm thinking
maybe they did something. I don't know. I guess I'll find that on the Rebirth.
Have they told you?
You played it so
I don't know.
Played it so
Because don't they have a Green Lantern movie on the schedule? And they haven't said which Green Lantern.
Green Lantern core. I think it's the core. Mm-hmm. They don't tell me any of the movie stuff, so I'm just totally speculating with you guys.
Because I know a lot of people online complaining, all the Green Lanterns are humans. Well, no, just the ones in your sector that you're seeing.
That's so that you don't get freaked
when they
out
went back to Oa, you saw all the weird ones.
Yeah.
Then the other one that caught my eye was Super Sons, which was a title way back when with Batman's son and Superman's son.
Okay, so it's like
together.
Okay. Yeah. That's what that image is from. Okay. Yeah, as I said, I don't know.
Brad, I'm sitting here like, you just know your titles right now. You know what you're working on.
They were totally.
And they're totally secretive. Huh?
Oh yeah.
They don't like you. I
call it a DNR instead of an NDA because it's like if I speak, then someone's gonna kill me.
You just played a core. All right. Well,
what else? Well, since you gave it away. What else? I talked about that. This new Suicide Squad. I think we talked about that. That's pretty much all I had on there. Well, the Blue Beetle. The Blue Beetle. Do you know anything? People
are asking, is it going to be Jaime?
I don't know.
El Paso.
I don't know.
Is it going to be Ted? Is it going to be
I didn't even. I just saw the Keith Kiffin's writing it. That's all I know. Sorry,
we can't squeeze anything out.
I don't know. They were kidding.
Killing me. I just have this vision in my head that you're in this meeting with all the DC ups and they divulge all this info to you, and you're like,
we did that actually with the DCU. We had like a get together and they had like a big presentation to show everybody and everything.
And then they mind wipe you before you walk out, so you don't remember your part.
They try to get everybody really drunk so they don't remember.
So basically, you really don't know the overarching plan for the DC Rebirth. You really just know your lane.
I just know my lane.
That's what I'm saying.
I only know the first issue.
How hard is that to if any of these titles need to interact with each other? Because you don't know.
Well, in that case,
when there's a crossover, you have to have some knowledge.
Well, then they'll send you like the idea. I mean, I got several like plot synopsises, but they've been changed.
What do you think? What do you think? We've kept him here long enough, man. Should we unchain him?
Never long enough.
Should we cut him loose? What do you think?
No other questions? Okay.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it for another edition of Talk Nerdy to Me. Brad, I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Such a treat. Such a treat. So again, check out this interview. Well, you're checking it out right now. What the hell am I saying? I don't know.
Rewind it, watch it again.
Yeah, check it out again in case you missed something. He may have spoiled something for you once or twice.
I don't think so.
That's a disclosure agreement.
Yeah,
right?
You'll know if your phone rings.
Call on us. Hey, what are you
did
doing?
you just do a YouTube video, guys?
Yeah, they're real picky about some of this stuff. So
did this have to be pre-approved with DC?
Podcasts are kind of a gray area.
Okay.
Like interviews,
When it's a certain artist or certain writer's podcast, it's kind of...
It depends.
Okay.
We don't have big enough exposure.
I know.
For them to worry about.
This is the first podcast I've been on. I've done called in a couple of them.
Woot!
Broke the cherry.
All right. Popped it. He's been married. So I think that'll do it for another edition of Talk Nerdy to Me. Just watch. Just wait. When this camera flips off, I'll be like, okay, bye. No, this has been fantastic.
Sweet, I gotta go.
I can't tell you how much I enjoyed this. So let's take us out here. I'm Jack Lutz.
Troy Stegner.
That's
Brett Booth.
Good night.
And sleep tight.
Tell me what